did so much for the station, and I think lightning also rubbed off on the employees here. Oh, yeah. Not physically, but
as well.
Yeah, sitting in the phone op for so long, I got to watch lightning in action. And, Kevin, I know you said he was a martyr and would work till 9:30. I mean, there was a time where me and Lightning went home every day because I lived in Long Beach and I didn't have a car, and he would have to drive me home. Mm-hmm. And we would talk. I would watch this guy on the phone work his ass off. And that was instilled in me. And that's where
What happened?
That's where I learned. Kevin happened. That's what happened. Kevin. No. And you get to see it, and then you see a different person work, and just the work ethic is completely different. You're like, all right, here's A, here's B. I want to be A. So, Lightning, thank you.
That's a very sweet thing to say, Dave. That's very sweet.
Very kind.
And I want to ask you guys about this, because I don't know if you've already covered this on the B Team podcast, but Lightning, have you talked about, you were our stunt boy, right, for a while on the show. Have you talked about some of the things that we made you do?
Oh, yeah, actually quite a few. So the reason...
You talked about the meat suit?
I don't know that we talked about the meat suit.
No, because that got shut down by lawyers.
Yeah.
Right, but it's something we tried to do. Dave, do you know about this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it was going to be running with the bulls, but we couldn't organize that, so it was going to be running with the pit bulls. And the guys were going to send me out to the Hollywood Equestrian Center, I think at Burbank, in a meat suit. So this is way pre Lady Gaga.
Those like chain link body coverings, we were going to put meat on the outside of it, and he would run with the pit bulls.
Yes.
So for some reason, the lawyers thought that was a bad idea.
No, you know what it was? It wasn't the lawyers. It was PETA. PETA shut us down.
That's right. They were afraid that we would traumatize the pit bulls.
Correct. Yeah.
By offering them free steaks, by the way, which is all we were doing. Yes. All they had to do was self-serve.
Who's a bigger fan of pit bulls than Dean?
Yeah, right?
And I recall that it was not a single call about me. It was all about how the dogs are going to traumatize it. I was like, I'm going to die. No,
the terminology at the time was worrying the dog.
Worrying the dogs.
That was what they said. All right,
that got shut down.
That got shut down. We didn't get to do that. Do I remember correctly, was it you that we sent up onto the roof of the building in Burbank to test out some sunscreens for us?
Yes, the Great American Barbecue Sunscreen Challenge.
Right.
Yes, that was going to be, I don't know, I think it was just because it was sticky, but like we wanted to know which sunscreen. Kevin kept burning. Kevin can't even go in the sun without lighting it aflame.
I just got a sunburn while you were talking.
Right. And so somehow we wanted to know what was the best sunscreen. We're like, how do we come up with barbecue sauce? Like, let's cover lightning in different barbecue sauces.
Well, I think we started with sunscreen, and then there's only so many. There's 2 or 3 that you care about.
Yeah.
And then there's more body. So so we look for other items to smear on you.
This is in August in Burbank on the roof of a 13-story building with no water up there, no way of cooling down. They didn't bring me anything to drink, and I'm in there in a lawn
technically,
chair.
I peed on you, so you had that.
We had a lawn chair, and I sat up there just sweltering, covered in sticky hot sauce for a few hours. And I think we determined that it was
not good.
It wasn't fun at all. No, it wasn't fun. That was just one of the many times that I risked life and limb for you guys.
What was? It's hilarious that you went from being stunt boy to being the producer. By the way, but what are some of the things that you remember being the proudest that you were able to pull off as the producer? Events that we did, big things that we did from on the show.
Oh, my gosh, there's so many. I think one of the ones that meant a lot to me was, do you recall that there was a girl, she was like 18 or 19, and she had a younger brother, and her parents had died in a car crash, and her aunt called and said, the girl and her son, and her younger brother, live in a house that was like, her father, before he passed away, was rebuilding.
Yes.
But at this time, there was no roof, the walls hadn't been finished, whatever, and we got together with Home Depot and a bunch of contractors, and we finished the house for her so she could live in it.
Yeah,
that was
amazing.
In Wilmington. Yeah, and so I was down there a couple times a week checking in on all the contractors and dealing with all those guys. That was one of my I'm proud of that charity moment.
You should have been. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Except for the contractor that ended up going to jail or whatever that was.
Yeah, no, that was sketchy.
Selling drugs or something.
There was something super sketchy about that dude.
I didn't hire that guy, but I was working with some really wonderful people on that project.
That's not the event I thought you were going to say, but that was very cool that we got to be involved in that. The one that I thought you were going to say, was this you? Were you the producer who helped get intern Heather new breasts?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that
Yeah,
was me.
with Dr. Garth Fisher.
Yeah.
I think that was you.
How
wasn't
does
it, Light?
Dave
forgot
remember
about that.
the doctor's first and last name?
Because Garth
Did he
Fisher
put
was
yours in too?
he was the first famous plastic surgeon, like was getting his own TV show and stuff.
right.
And that's who Light got. And I remember I had to take Heather home and help her
You
massage.
did?
Yeah, I had a massage.
Well,
there was rules.
You were sharing a desk, the phone-op desk with her, right? For quite some time?
Something like that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I remember I had to pick her up, take her home, and help massage for the first 2 days.
I just felt like us getting an intern breast was not only the best thing you ever did, Lightning. It was the best thing an American has ever done.
Yeah. She was a
I was pretty proud of
contortionist,
that.
as you'll recall,
She
too.
was a
Yes,
contortionist,
and by the way,
Yes.
we still see her all the time. She's still, still around and still looking and doing great. We still consider her a friend. So that was funny.
Yeah, there have been a lot of things that we talked about. All the trips to get Christmas trees. We went through quite a few of those.
Right.
Alaska, Nova Scotia, Montana, Bethlehem. I think that recently we revisited the Freak Bus to Bethlehem.
Oh, that's so
when
fun.
we almost got busted for Gil and the Armenian comedian smoking
Yeah, one of
weed.
the listeners called in a tip to the Highway Patrol. That was awesome.
Yes, except it really wasn't awesome.
But it was.
I mean,
because we weren't on the bus. It was
correct.
awesome.
I realized that, but at the time, it's. I love doing these
You were
stunts.
right by Mount Rushmore, right?
Yes.
When you got pulled over.
We were at the steps, the foot of Mount Rushmore. Not like, we were in the national park.
Right.
And so during these stunts that we would do, they would suck when I would be in the middle of it, whether I'm in costume
Come
or
on,
I'm
you were
covered
with
in
Sam, the Armenian comedian. How could that not be fun? 24/7.
I thought that we were going to cause these two bus drivers to lose their jobs, their livelihood, because they were transporting illicit substances across state line. They were doing all, and those guys were
So
panic-stricken.
you're telling us now
and
that you had weed.
I didn't have weed. Gil and the Armenian comedian had weed.
Okay.
Yes, they did have weed, and Gil ate it before.
ate it.
Yes,
Okay.
he ate it.
All
He
right.
consumed it. Yeah. And so, I felt in that moment when I was there, I was freaking scared for us and for them. I thought someone's going to go to jail. We were surrounded by more cops than I had ever personally been surrounded by.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the time that you guys had
we
me...
would have been so happy if he was in jail, right?
I think we would have been at the time.
The time that you guys had me arrested when I hiked up to the Hollywood sign, do you recall that?
No.
No,
What do you mean, no?
I don't remember that at all.
What the hell's wrong with you?
We called the cops on you?
The Hollywood sign, they had this big press release and this hoopla about, hey, we just installed this new security system.
Security system. So we
Nobody
sent you
can
up to
hike.
test it.
So I got in camp fatigues
Right.
and I was crawling on my belly the whole way up there,
Right.
and I was arrested, like the helicopter, the whole thing. They caught me.
my God.
They
I do
put me-
remember that. That
they
was
put
awesome.
the not the handcuffs, but like the giant zip tie around
ties,
behind, and they put me in the squad car. I was there for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
And you guys let me sweat.
That was hilarious.
the whole time I'm in
That
the back.
was funny, though.
It was funny to you.
Yeah, because you were testing the security system. You get
Listen,
it, right? So
if
we
I
call
were-
the police.
If I were you, I would have done the same
Okay,
thing, but to
good.
be me sucked. I mean, I get
let
it.
me say this, Light. Aren't you so grateful, not to take anything away from K-Rock 2018, because it's still a pretty good radio station, but aren't you so grateful that we were all working together back when we could do stuff like that? Because honestly, if we did that same bit today, Kevin and I both would lose our jobs for asking somebody to do something illegal. I mean, we would be fired for that same thing today.
for
I think.
most of what happened in the 90s.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
For half the stuff we would say in the hallways, we would have been fired.
How about,
Yeah.
have you talked about this on the B Team Light? Another one of my favorite memories of you. Have you talked about the 7-Eleven visits on Halloween?
Oh, yeah.
We did, yeah. Streaking Santa, streaking Jack-o'-lantern. Yeah, it was both me and Tad. I think I was the first one to do it.
I think
'cause
you were.
Mark
so,
the
too.
Wiffle Boy wouldn't have anything to do with it. Do you remember Mark?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
of course,
sure.
So, Mark wouldn't play those reindeer games. And so I did
fun.
it. And then Big Tad, he hated it.
Yeah.
But he was much funnier because he was just so reluctant. I was like, I'm going to do this because I know it's funny.
Yeah.
But Tad's just didn't want anything to do with it. But he was so goddamn fat and funny, his butt cheeks hanging out.
It was a pretty good visual, I got to be honest.
Yeah, and I was the last one.
Oh, you were the last
I was
one.
the last
Yeah,
one.
that's right.
did it?
I did it once, yeah,
I
in
didn't
Burbank.
know that.
Yeah,
Is
then-
that what we called the cops, too?
That's when Curtis was on the air and said,
man.
"You just stole something when I bought gum for money."
And the cop heard it.
And the cop heard it, pulled us over, and
That's
goes, "You didn't
funny.
really steal anything." They're like, "No, I paid for it. You could ask them." And he goes, "All right, get out of here." As I have a pumpkin on my junk, I'm
He's
talking to a cop.
completely naked except for a tiny pumpkin on his tiny penis.
A very tiny puppet.
And a
Yeah, little-
gigantic pumpkin on his
his head.
gigantic head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you talk about you emerging on Groundhog Day at the LA Zoo?
No, we didn't talk about that. But
Because that was you in a groundhog suit,
I was trying to find a photo to show Omar and Dave, and I could not. There is a photo that exists of me standing there.
Yeah.
And
the LA Zoo just tweeted it recently when I made fun of them for.
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Because we were making fun of Bean's
pictures.
jacket, right? Like,
No, look, every picture of us is terrible. So.
I remember I was dating this hot girl at the time, Amy, and I brought her to this event for whatever reason, and
You're an idiot.
yes, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm a cool radio guy, and then she's looking at me going, "You're in a goddamn groundhog costume."
She was right.
Yes.
Okay.
Lightning, who did we have on the show during your years with Kevin and Bean as a guest that you were so excited to meet?
Jesse James.
Maybe
no.
Jesse James, I bet.
No, Jesse
Yeah, 'cause
James.
then you became his friend.
Yeah, kind of, but I wasn't.
You sort
Remember,
of were.
Jenna Jameson had a crush on Lightning, and he turned her down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
That happened on a Saturday morning.
Mr. Burcham.
Mr. Burcham. Yes, Mr. Burcham was hosting Saturday mornings, and I was running the board. And they went into the other room during a break. While we were live, he had a feather duster on a Makita cordless drill, and he was feather dusting her bare breasts.
Right.
They go into the other room to get a glass of water during the commercials, and
Right.
Adam pops his head and he's like, "Hey, Light, yeah? Jenna wants to know if you're single." And I had just gotten back together with my girlfriend.
So you
I'd
say
broken-
yes.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I
No,
said.
I just fought to get my girlfriend back after breaking up and the whole thing, and I'm like, why? She goes, she wants to, I don't know, go on a date or something. You interested? I said, and as I stuttered to answer, he goes, shuts the door on me.
That's the right thing. He
Yeah.
did the right thing.
That's unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah, I have a lot of memories. And to answer your question, Bean, I do think the radio station was, dare I say, more special then, but I do think it was a magical place. I think it was harder to work at than it is now.
Yeah, agreed. But here's the thing.
For a myriad of reasons, and I think
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing is that the company that owned us in the 90s also owned the station that had Howard Stern. Mm-hmm. So all of their lawyers and everybody were paying attention to Howard Stern. What is he saying? What is he doing? And no one gave a shit about us and what we did. No one cared. Except for PETA that one time. But I mean, for the most part, we were able to get away with almost anything we wanted because no one cared.
It's true. And then the Janet Jackson effect took, you know what I mean? And that's when everything went sideways. You guys you took a lot of heat, and I felt bad because you really were trying to push the envelope. And it always pissed me off. They're like, Kevin and Bean are trying to, or did this for ratings. Oh, they did this stunt for ratings. And it's like, you guys, you on TV. They're not doing this for ratings. They're doing it because it's funny and they believe in it. And if they were not on radio,
ratings,
they
but...
were. Of course, I realize that. I understand, but you're not. I knew that you guys weren't going. We can go from a 3.1 to a 3.2 if we do the stunt.
And
Shut
we're
up,
stunt
guys.
radio, right.
You're doing it because it's funny, and if listeners laugh, they'll listen longer.
Right.
Bottom line.
Right.
And I always felt you guys were getting the raw end of the deal with the press. Always like, shock jocks, Kevin and Bean.
No, I
It's
know.
like, stop that.
Dude.
But that's just people that don't listen.
Yes.
That's just people don't listen trying to summarize what kind of a show we are. Because, honestly, had we pulled off you in a meat suit, that would have been stunt. That
Yes.
would have been a stunt. It
Yeah.
would have been spectacular.
Yeah, it was. It would have been.
Can we still do it? Can we do it today?
I mean, I prefer not.
You're
do it today,
officially, you're not
right?
going to be an employee.
You're not an
anymore.
employee.
We can totally do it.
Yeah. Meat suit. Meat suit. Meat suit.
Why am I chanting meat suit? Right.
Let me ask one more thing, Lightning, because frankly I'm getting bored, and that is,
See, still dicks.
have you guys talked about, or are we allowed to talk about, the K-Rock documentary that you're working so hard behind the scenes on now?
Yes, we can.
Because I think that's going to blow people's minds when they see how amazing that story is and all the people involved.
From the very beginning of K-Rock.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. So it's a linear telling of K-Rock from the late 60s when people don't know it actually existed as an AM station and morphed into the
I thought it
world
started in
famous K-Rock.
72 on AM, no?
It was before that. There was a couple of permutations. You'll just have to see the documentary, Mr. Bean.
All right, I will.
Yes, and it involves almost every DJ, living DJ that was on the station, and management that you've probably never heard of. And I showed Jed the Fish. He was here yesterday. And I showed him the sizzle reel, which I wish I could share it with the audience, but I can't. And he was moved like almost to tears. It's really, really amazing. You have all the bands from current day, Imagine Dragons, Green Day, all that stuff, to Bono, and then it's going to be a really wonderful tale about the greatest rock station that I think has ever existed on the planet.
And when can we see that?
Well, Jimmy
It's a
Kimmel,
half-hour special, and it's going to be on.
From what I understand, so hold on. From what I understand, so the executive
It's going to be on
producers,
Channel 56 in Orange County
Yeah,
Friday at
KDOC,
11:45 p.m.
to 12.
we're hoping it's going to be a 6-part series.
Okay.
And it's going to be sold to one of the above: Hulu, Netflix, Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yes, one of the big boys.
30-minute or hour?
It would be 6 one-hour episodes.
6 1-hour
And
episodes.
you started to say something about Jimmy.
So Jimmy and Adam are the producers. Nate Adams, who has directed several of Adam's really wonderful automotive documentaries,
Right.
He's the director on this picture, and